Hi guys, and welcome back to Couch Critics.
Hi guys, we're Couch Critics. I'm Ruby.
And I'm Lamia, and today we're gonna review Whiplash.
Yes, it's turning
Yes.
10 years old this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We thought that it would be the perfect occasion to just talk about it. It's one of our favorite movies, and we just absolutely loved it. Damien Chazelle. We
Yes.
talked about him just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we were reviewing La La Land.
Yeah.
And today we're reviewing his first movie. What I think it was his first official movie.
Yes, I think
Whiplash.
so too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, it's a story about a very ambitious drummer who's trying to make it in the drumming industry, and that's it. Very simple plot.
Yeah.
Yet the character development is great. Miles Teller plays Andrew, who's the drummer, and then he has his teacher Terrence, who was also in La La Land. He had a
Really?
very, very small role. He was the guy who fired Ryan Gosling in the beginning of the movie from his piano gig because
He's always a mean teacher. Like that's
Yeah.
the vibe he's
Yeah.
given.
I think he has a really good relationship with Damien Chazelle, though, for him to come back in this
Yeah.
movie.
But maybe it was a hint at Whiplash
Maybe.
to bring
Yeah.
him back as a music teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it.
So basically, Andrew is trying to make it into the drumming industry, and he meets this um, very toxic teachers. And basically, the whole movie is about Andrew trying to get that teacher's validation.
Yeah.
And it's given a lot of like Black Swan vibe and
Yes.
I, Tonya. And it's just, this movie is one of my favorites because I just love movies about the tortured artists who are just trying to do whatever it takes to just like get to where they want to get. And this is why I love Elvis too.
Yeah.
If you think about it, his agent was also
Yeah.
just the same as this teacher. Um, and so yeah, we just want to talk about these characters and try to see the why.
Yeah, the why. I think that's the most important part. I think it's crazy how these, like, Miles Teller obviously plays the role of a very great drummer, and yet all that he wanted was not just to be a great drummer, but also to gain the appreciation of his teacher. And I think that this is what drove him to a very dark space. And
Yeah.
the most marking scene for me in that movie was when he was playing the drums so hard that his knuckles started bleeding, and it really showed how much he was being affected by his teacher. And yeah, he was playing really good, but no matter what he did, his teacher was always not satisfied, and it really took him down a very dark rabbit hole. And
I don't think that the movie is about, like, the movie starts as a love story between not Miles Teller's character, but it slowly shifts into this exploration of codependency between the teachers, um, the teachers' need to control everything,
yeah,
and Andrew's need to get the teacher's approval. And to me, what was most interesting about this movie is to just understand why would someone like Andrew, who is talented, like he I'm pretty sure like deep down he knows that he has a little bit of potential. Why did he stay? And isn't that like the most common question when it comes to like any codependent
yeah.
relationship that turns to be toxic?
I think it's a promise of getting to somewhere great because the teacher was his teacher. I think it was at university he
Yeah.
was learning music. And obviously I think he thought that if he had the admiration of this teacher, it was gonna open a lot of doors for him. But towards the end, the teacher even tried to sabotage him. At the last scene, he asked him to play the drums and he gave him a totally different music sheet.
Yeah.
And that was the complete opposite of what he was hoping to have during this whole movie. So I think, yeah, it's always important to ask why, as you said, why we're there. And if one way is very toxic, why didn't he take a different way?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I feel like it's also because like the teacher is not just a teacher. He represents something much bigger. First of all, I feel like when you're first starting out in any career, you tend to like look up at people who already made it, who represent, who are kind of like a symbol of success, and you aspire to be like them. So you kind of like believe whatever tale that they just tell you. And I feel like this is the case with in this story, and it's definitely a cautionary tale because um if I put myself in Andrew's shoes, and I get like slapped in the face for like not playing the right note, I'm just gonna believe that the teacher was right to do
Mm-hmm.
that because he knows better. I feel like
Yeah.
it comes back to that. Like you always assume that the teacher knows better. And yeah, have you ever had any teachers like this?
No, not early. When I was 6 years old, I tried to do ballet, and my
Oh yeah, ballet, of course.
my ballet teacher was very old, but also very traumatizing. I had flat feet, so she would always
Okay.
keep telling me to straighten up my feet. But I was
Wow.
6 years old. I didn't know how to do it.
And you still
So I
remember
still
it till
remember
now.
it.
Yeah.
And I remember because my sister did ballet way before I started when I was very young. And I was looking forward to the day when I would turn 6 years old and be able
Hmm.
to start taking classes. And I remember after that, every Saturday I would come back home, like begging my parents to make me stop because I really didn't like it. And then they were like, nope, you committed to it. You got to at least finish the year. And then next year, if you don't want to, you can do something
Yeah.
else. But
You survived
I
this.
survived. Honestly, I'm glad I did because I
Mm.
still remember a few things, very little, but it's just I don't know. I don't know. I think it gives kids tough skin, but I would definitely not do it again. I feel like if anybody would like, if you have a bad teacher, you shouldn't stop doing what you love doing. You should
Yeah.
just go out there and seek other learning teachers, especially
Hmm.
when it's just a hobby at first and you have the opportunity to go other places. But in this case,
Yeah.
it was Miles' like career. It was the drums, and I feel like because his teacher told him he was bad, he just had to be good. It wasn't like he would be like, oh, okay, it's fine if I'm not perfect because
Yeah.
it's his career, it's his future.
I totally get that. You already know that, but I did have an acting teacher who resembled the teacher in Whiplash
Yeah,
in so many ways. It's very easy to say and to just like say to yourself that maybe the teacher is not right, maybe you should just like take a step back and like maybe try with someone else. But when you're in that situation, you want to prove them wrong so badly. And I think that those kind of narcissistic people, because they're definitely not normal
yeah,
people. I have a background in martial arts. I've only had mean teachers, but they're the kind of mean that push you forward. They want sugarcoat stuff, they want like be extremely nice to you, but it's always a safe environment. But when the environment turns against you and it becomes toxic, this is when you just have to leave. But it's so hard to leave
yeah,
because you don't understand why everyone's succeeding and you're not. You don't understand why this teacher doesn't like you, and he doesn't have a problem with anybody else.
yeah.
It's weird to stay, but it's also weird to be in a situation of power and to use it to harm people, because I feel like people like that shouldn't teach.
Yeah.
Because I was listening to Off Camera. It's this show about actors. Like it's this interviewer who brings actor and they talk about their experiences. And I don't know who he brought on, but this actress, she was saying that she went to Juilliard and studied acting, and she said that there is a fine line between the kind of teachers who push you forward, who are actually very hard on you. They don't cut you slack. They're very almost mean to you, and the kind of teachers who are excessively encouraging.
Yeah.
And there should be a balance between the two, and a good teacher know where to stand in this very fine line that separates both of these
I
these
agree with
kind of
that.
teachers. Yeah.
Because to be honest, I wouldn't want to go learn something if I'm having a teacher who's telling me everything I'm doing is okay, because
Yeah.
then you're just not gonna improve. My question for you is in the context of Whiplash as a movie, do you think that the teacher only picked up on Andrew because he thought he could do better? I feel like a lot of times teachers, when they do that, without mean like maybe they convince themselves that they mean well and they only push forward the students that they see who have the biggest potential,
Mm.
and this is why he only pushed Andrew that far. But
I
I'm
think
not saying it's the right method,
that
but
the ones that actually push their students too far, and they want them to, like, with the thought of making them better, are the good teachers, are the ones who won't harm them. It's not the kind of teacher, it's not the guy from Whiplash.
Yeah.
And on the other side, I feel like the teacher who was in Whiplash saw something that he lacked in Andrew, and he couldn't get over it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he pushed him that far. Because if you really care about someone and you do think that they have potential, you wouldn't try to destroy them. You wouldn't try to take that spark, that talent, to suck it out of them, just to feed off whatever's lacking in yourself.
So maybe there was a bit of jealousy.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, that does make sense. That makes a lot of sense. And this is why it's like these situations are so fragile, and I don't know, it's crazy. Sometimes teachers often seem for students, especially students who have that much ambition, they seem like gods for them, but they forget that they're just other human beings who also like had the same ambitions at some point.
It's always the toxic ones are always the ones who don't actually have a great career, and they never got over that. And when you look at the entire picture, it just makes so much sense. And I feel like before signing up to a class, like, people should actually study their teacher's
do a background check, check their reviews.
Because also, like, I don't know if I talked to you about this, but I feel like people, when it comes to art, and just in art, like, not in other fields, people tend to forget that it's a client and, like, an entreprise relationship. Like, we're clients in these programs, and we pay for this service, and we don't get what we paid for. And so
and it's true that it's very specific to arts. Like, I've seen it in acting, but I've also seen it in architecture, and it's always the teachers who didn't have their offices, who just were teaching, who were the harshest on their students. And you could tell when, like, a teacher did their projects and had their life experience, that were more understanding towards the students, because I knew that to be successful, you have to make a lot of mistakes as well, and you don't have to be perfect from the beginning, and it's just a process. And no matter what you're doing, even if you're a teacher and you're still doing your art, even you as a teacher, you're going to keep improving and learning. And also teachers should learn from their students and not just be the ones teaching.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, you're just a teacher. You should mentor your students to a certain extent, but you're teaching adults, and everyone's responsible for themselves. And so you should just do your job, and that's it. At least that's how I see it. And
I want to talk about a very marking scene in Whiplash, and that is the breakup scene. Do you remember it? It's the scene where Miles Teller break up with his girlfriend, and I love it. I think it's the most iconic scene ever, because it really represents how
dedicated,
but also a little immature he was to be doing that. That's the scene that made me want to watch the movie. He was having coffee with his girlfriend. He was saying, "Listen, I'm gonna be very successful one day, and I'm gonna no, he didn't say that. Sorry, that's The Social Network, different movie." But he was like, "I'm gonna be more dedicated to my career." And actually, I take it back. Maybe he wasn't immature. That also shows a lot of maturity. I honestly don't know.
From what I remember, he was telling her that he needed to be great. He needed to be great. And so, in order for him to be great, he needed to just focus on being great, which is something that I do understand to a certain extent.
And he didn't want her to resent him for not spending as much time with her as he would on his art, and this is why he was breaking up. I don't know, this whole scene is just, it's crazy, because it reminds me of when I was 14 years old and I was very ambitious, and I think I'm still ambitious.
You are.
But I feel like when you're younger, you just see your art, you just see your career, and that's just your sole focus, and you forget that there's other important things in life that you should maybe also focus on, and maybe you should find the balance. But
depends on where you are at life. And so I just think that it wasn't the right time for him to maybe pursue a relationship. And maybe if you know in your heart that you're not going to be able to give something what someone what they need. Maybe it's just easier to let go.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
think he knew what this other person needed, or was he just running away from a failed possibility? Maybe he just didn't want to fail at his relationship, so he anticipated the worst case scenario and just ended things before
I think
it
that
even happened.
the whole thing was a trouble because like he was already committed to
To
drumming,
drumming,
and
yeah.
that was the only relationship that he was able to focus on in
Mm-hmm.
his situation because like his whole drumming thing was very toxic, and so I don't think that left any space for him to have a healthy relationship with his girlfriend. What do you think?
I really don't know. I think he was trying to do the right thing, and in his mind that was the right thing, which
Yeah.
is why it's good that he's done it.
Mm.
Um, I think in an ideal world we would find the balance between what we want to do and like it's basically the same scenario. It's the same dilemma as La La Land. Is
Yeah.
it love or career? I think in an ideal world we should aim to have both, and
Mm.
if eventually short and fall short at some point, it's fine, but at least we would have tried. But to just end something before even giving it a chance, I think that's maybe
Yeah,
not a
you're definitely
mistake.
missing out on
Yeah.
something if you never know if you don't try.
But again, if it feels right, then just,
Hmm.
do it. So yeah.
Yeah.
Whiplash. What
Whiplash.
else?
I think that sums it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Let us know what you think about the movie.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.